learn from the mistake, but don't sit there and think that that mistake defines you. Mistakes don't necessarily define you unless you let that mistake shut you down.
And welcome back to Podcast on Wheels. Today we've got a special treat in studio, returning guest, Mr. Charles Gardner. Welcome back to the studio.
Hey man, what's going on? I appreciate you having me back for the third time.
That's it, man.
It's crazy, right?
It is.
So you probably want to know what's been going on, what's been happening.
Teach us, talk to us.
Well, there's, like when we last talked, we have a tendency to go into how business is going and what we're doing in the community and things of that nature. So, as you know, we just got out of a election. I think we were talking about that a little bit the last show and whatnot, and how politics affects business and whether or not you have downturns and upswings from the financial side of things. And what's crazy is I'm currently kind of in that rotation right now. People are still very much like, okay, don't really know how I'm going to do this. There's some different economic policies coming on with the tariffs and stuff like that. And so I've been focusing more on with, since I'm kind of in I wouldn't say a downturn because that's not it. It's more like a flat line. It's like, okay, I'm not really getting a lot of people, but I'm not losing like everything. I'm not losing my shirt. Speaking of shirts, got a new swag over here. And it's a little older, but it's still swag nonetheless. I focused more on helping more people build their business, kind of pulled that idea from you. So I've been like, okay, if I see an opportunity to help somebody else, then I'm like, hey, let me put this person on. Now, the strange thing about that, and some people may call it strange, is it's taking me out of the focus of constantly looking at my wallet, so to speak. And it's like, okay, I'm happy for the blessings that I got. So let me help somebody else. So I'm not in quote unquote stingy mode or selfish mode.
Right.
If you want to call it that. Somebody I sent to you, Miranda, been helping her out with her business. And then there's a couple other guys that I've been helping out on the side. Hey, do this. Barber that I sent to you hopefully he gets contact with you.
Yeah.
I was talking to him the other day on how to help his business model grow, bringing in more barbers, better quality barbers, how to run it. Cause I'm like, your business is similar to mine in the sense that you running people off of contracts if you have employees. Or cause I was asking him how much he charges a chair, all this business.
Right.
I was like, well, dude, why not just do it this way? And then give more back to your barbers. And there was a particular financial rotation that we talked about. I'm not going to reveal it here. And he was like, never thought about that. He's like, it's always been done. You pay for your chair, $200 a chair or $100 a chair, whatever that number is going to be. And I said, nah, go try a different model and see what happens. So I gave him a different model. I said, I tell him, he said, well, where'd you get that model from? I said, well, I don't know what your religious framework is. I said, but, from the Bible. He was like, what you mean? I said, well, how you give your tithes in church and whatnot. I said, well, try that model. He said, what you mean? And I gave him the explanation. You can run that however you want to, Brian, but that's what I've been focusing on, trying to help other people with my business while mine is kind of in a plateau, I would say, as opposed to panicking and running around. And it's brought me a sense of calm as far as like, okay, I'm gonna be good. I just gotta help other people right now. That's where my space seems to be right now. And things kind of have stayed fairly good on that front.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, what I'm hearing is you're still the same Charles. You're still doing kind of the same thing, is that you're going to create opportunities. You're going to develop those relationships because that's how you got to where you are now. That you've just refined how you're helping people because of all of our mistakes and your mistakes and this mistakes and how we learned there. And then it's like, okay, there's got to be a better way.
Oh, man, mistakes, man. Look, mistakes is just a part of it.
Okay.
I don't think that's something people need to not do. when you make a mistake, and I was talking to somebody about this, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago, don't internalize that. Learn from the mistake, but don't sit there and think that that mistake defines you. Mistakes don't necessarily define you unless you let that mistake shut you down. So if you make a bad move, you get a customer for your insurance or something like that, and something happens and it hits you pretty hard in the pockets. Okay, yeah, it's gonna hurt. You know it's gonna hurt, but like, can I recover from this? And what did I do wrong? That's what you got to pick up from it. But to sit there and just wallow in that mistake, that's gonna freeze you out, man.
Yeah.
Nobody like you. You don't want to be froze out where you can't move. Because you're constantly stuck in that. I goofed here. Just learn and keep it pushing. Keep it pushing.
We had someone that was talking to yesterday on the show, and they were talking about when they first started their business, the excitement, the energy, and then their first kind of crap. Where's the next opportunity going to come? What's going on here? Why are we kind of flatlining, as you said? Like, why are we not trending up? And then they were able to find an opportunity to bless somebody else. And she explained, she's like, you know what? That's where we realized why we're doing what we're doing and how we're growing the way we're growing. And as long as our provisions are met, that's the one thing as you talk about faith, we get into like, okay, is it God's plan for everybody to be rich by earth standards as far as financial? Is it God's plan for everybody to be wealthy? No, I don't think so. I don't think that. I don't think that everybody should be.
You're getting into some deep philosophy here.
Right. Should everybody be married?
Oh man.
Should everybody be this?
All right. See, now you're forcing me to go into some conversations that I have with my dad about this subject as it pertains to money, finances, and whatnot. One of the things that he's told me for years, and it took me a long time to understand what he was talking about. Times wanting better than having. So when you're talking about being a rich millionaire or a millionaire, okay, that's great. I don't have no problem with those dudes. I'm not upset with them for having millions or billions of dollars. What they do with it is their business. Okay. At the same time, I understand that they're a human being too. They got problems in their life in the background that you and I don't see. So, but then maybe the reason why you or I don't have, or somebody out there who's listening to this don't have those millions or billions of dollars is because, life, God, universe, whatever, is saying you're not cut out to have that. You wouldn't use it right. So I can't give you millions of dollars because you would abuse it. You'd abuse other people. You would abuse yourself and possibly end up either hurting other people or hurting yourself to the point where you end up no longer on the planet. So I can't give you that. It's not that you're irresponsible or whatnot. It's just your personality because money reveals who you are.
Yeah.
It does. It can make your life easier. Everybody wants money because
it does make your life easier. Yeah, that does.
I mean, look, I can go here, I can buy this, I can do that. That's great. But when I say it reveals who you are, it reveals whether or not, for lack of a better word, whether or not you're going to be a dick or not. Right. So, and whether or not you're going to treat people good or bad. Because you know people, I know people who you see them, they don't have nothing. They're great people, and you're like, oh, this is a solid person. They 100 with it. Soon as they get a little something, get a little money, now all of a sudden they don't know Brian and Courtney from a hole in the ground. And you're like, we used to kick it back in the day. But 3 years ago before you hit it big, now you don't know me.
Yeah.
You got a whole new set. They got a whole new set of friends and whatnot, and they can't pick you up at all. They can't even pick up the phone to talk to you. But then you have other people who, same scenario. They didn't have it. Now they got it. But they don't mind still hanging out with people who, have anything, but they're good people. They're not trying to get in trouble with it. They're real humble with their gains and whatnot.
Right.
And money, so you have to be, money reveals who you are.
It does.
I'm not saying money is bad. I'm gonna look into the camera and tell y'all, money is not bad. It's when you treat people badly once you get it and you turn into a terrible person. That's the bad part.
Yeah. I mean,
That's the takeaway from that little segment.
the love of money is bad. And the way that, I've been happy broke and I've been happy with money. And I can tell you happy with money's a lot better. Okay. Like,
Of course it is.
at the same time, as you and I are just sitting here chatting about this, it's like, I've seen people that I look at and I go, okay, the reason he has what he has is because he was already, as I thought about when we were talking, and we both, you've expanded your training business. I just did it as a part-time job back in the day. But just like even with money or somebody's body, like you have to already act and treat your body better than it's evident. You have to manage your money better than it would be evident in order to get your body to that point, to get your money to that point. You don't start tithing when you start getting paid. You don't start going to the gym after you get abs. You don't
That's true.
There's something that has to start from a mindset that says, hey, I'm going to tell you this because you've known Courtney longer than I have. So I don't mind telling you this story about her on the show. We had a conversation about our tithing just in the fourth quarter of last year. And I said, okay, I think we're doing this. What do you think? And the number she hit me was more than twice of what we were doing at that time. And as the leader of the family, the head of the household, the man, the husband, the servant, loving my wife as Christ loves the church, I had to hold my tongue because I went, how? You look at numbers. It's like, okay, I have a calculator, ma'am. How do we do this?
Right.
I'm not going to say that I did this and then all of a sudden this check was in my mailbox and God blessed me with all that. No.
So you're not going to go Joel Osteen?
I do. I don't disrespect. It's like, no, it's not an automatic return. It's a level of faith.
Okay.
So let's go.
Once again, this is something me and my pops talk about on the thing.
Yeah.
See, sometimes people think when we're since we're kind of on the religious kick a little bit here, sometimes people think what you said, I get something back. And they're thinking that there's something back that they get is going to be monetary. Sometimes it's not being in an accident when you clearly saw that you probably should have been. Sometimes it's not having health problems that other people have. Sometimes it's, okay, bad storm comes through town. Everybody on the opposite side of the street had something crazy happen to their house, their car, and you're the house that didn't have the branch go through the front window or the tree fall on it, knowing full good and well that the tree sitting in the back is an old oak tree that looks like it's going to fall all the time. But for some reason, even though those winds is 80 miles an hour, that old oak tree that's sitting behind your house, wherever it is, like, Joker should have fallen. Sometimes it's just that. But everybody wants to look at the bank account for the blessing and think that that's where it is. And it's like, no, that's not always where it is. Sometimes it's in other areas of your life. You just got to be smart enough to see, oh, wait, it's a broader scope. Kind of like with training. I had a lady recently tell me that all her blood work came back on the doctor was like, what are you doing? Okay. She's like, well, I go to the gym 3 times a week. I work out with my trainer and whatnot. And she was like, you need to keep that up because all your blood work is perfect. When I say...
Give me an age range on this female, just for context.
She's 62.
Oh, wow.
She's 62.
Okay, so this is not a
26-year-old. No, this is a 62-year-old.
That's impressive.
And the thing was, she was pre-diabetic too. So that she ain't got. Look, you don't have to worry about that.
Yes.
As long as you keep that up,
right,
you're good.
Right.
Got another one, same type of thing.
Right.
The guy, same type of situation as far as just wanting his blood work to be good.
Yeah.
Went to the doctor, got a checkup, comes back, tells me they happy about what you got, what I'm doing here. They still want me to continue dropping weight like I'm doing, but the cholesterol's good, blood pressure is great, you're moving in the right direction, you're doing everything. Keep it up. And these are people who are older. So they're not necessarily chasing at this point in their lives that quote unquote beach body situation. They're not necessarily looking for that. They just want a better, more complete life. So I try to give that to them
Mm-hmm.
because when they go to the doctor, if their stuff is all out of whack, they know that they're moving in the wrong direction. We got to do something different. So as long as I'm giving them something like that that's tangible,
Mm-hmm.
then they're happy. Plus the aesthetic part of it, or plus a strength in game part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So those big thing I've noticed with the older population that I seem to be leaning into now
Yep.
is blood work. I want my cholesterol levels to be, normal or below normal. I want my
Right.
blood pressure points to be like a young person's.
Mhm.
Can you do that for me? Can you get me out of pre-diabetic phase? Can you do that for me? Okay, well, let's see what we can do,
I like to see I say, in a way, the evolution of the human in a way that I've heard it said this way: time is the only asset that we have that we can't check the balance on.
Okay.
So
I see what you got rolling here.
as we get to a certain age, it's like, okay, I can look in the mirror and you can, as I see the pictures that you update your followers, you look this way, you look
From time to
that way.
time.
What's every night in front of that mirror? Yeah.
No, it is not.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it is
All
not.
right.
You know
Every Friday, I don't know. But it's like we can do certain things and be able to go, okay, I know if I do this and I look this way and I feel this way. And I had a conversation with Courtney the other day. I said, hey, I'm probably going to kick in an extended couple hours on this next fast because of how I felt from the last time I ate. I'm just going to decrease this next window.
Mhm.
And by Saturday, in a couple of days, it's like I can regulate a few pounds. I can adjust and feel a certain way. But I still go check my blood work. And I still want to know that, my last blood work showed that now at 45, the testosterone was a little bit lower and that cholesterol was a little bit higher. And these vitamins needed to be reduced because of where I was at with this. And I went, oh, okay. Hey, doctor. Hey, and I get everything checked. And I'm like, okay, that confirms with what I see. And now we can make appropriate adjustments. But as we talk about people aging, and it's like time is that asset we have that we can't check the balance on. So are you seeing that because you're no longer just putting together? I mean, let's when you first started, okay, we're going to do 3 sets of 10 reps, and then we're going to see how you feel. We're going to do this. You're like, no, I know how you're going to feel if you do 3 of 10. Let's go get the blood work and let's really check on what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, it's more like, okay, I'm still doing that. It's like, okay, I'm doing more with those individuals who are older, depending on if they give me specific parameters of things that they want to do. I'm still going to go with a general fitness model because generally, if I'm dealing with somebody in their late 50s, 60s, and above, they want to feel good. They want to get a little pump, get the blood flowing and whatnot. So I do that without going excessive. But okay, I just picked up a new guy.
Okay.
73.
Okay.
Former Marine, right? Works on the Arsenal. He's got that mentality.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, okay, I've got to tap into that to help him get the results that he wants to. But I have to keep in mind his age.
Mm-hmm.
So there are going to be certain things that I know I have to kind of regulate.
Mhm.
He's got that mindset where he's like, okay, I can do some more. I can do some more. But I'm gonna have to be like, okay, I gotta pull him back because I don't want him to hurt himself because he's not gonna. If he does, he's not gonna recover as he did when he was 37.
I won't interrupt you real quick, okay?
Go ahead.
And this is the reason. I was competing in an athletic. It was baseball. I tried to play some baseball last summer.
Uh-huh.
At 45, I guess I just turned 45. in my opinion, jogging to first base. And all of a sudden, I felt a burning sensation in my right leg above the knee.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew something either just tore
Mm.
or we've done something, right? Well, something happened.
Something has gone catastrophically
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
System
I
failure, system failure.
I walk off the field. I kind of look up to Courtney and I'm like, hey, go get the truck. I'm done. We go, we get this done. We have an MRI. We get everything checked out. It's so swollen that this is happening, the discoloration. You know how things can look. And I'm going through all this process, and I go to the orthopedic doc that we're friends with, and I say, hey, what's up? He goes, 6 weeks. We will reevaluate the MRI because you do have some tearing, but I don't think it's completely torn. It's not showing that, so not going to be surgery. It's going to be this. I said, doc, I got one quick question. Like, back when I played professional baseball, I had a similar type injury. And within 10 days, he goes, you were 24. And I went, okay, so that was my experience of like, hey, bro, yes, mentally, like you're looking at this Marine. Okay, I played professional baseball. I know how to jog to first base without hurting myself, I thought. But it didn't happen.
Right.
And how much did I miss? And that's been months. And this hip still's getting back because of the adjustment made in the 6 weeks of dragging my foot by not having the proper alignment, because now what happens to the rest of my...
Everything gets shot off.
Right.
Right.
So you're keeping this guy from
hurting him
because
one,
he's not going to recover.
Right. But then on top of that, it's also kind of like I said, his mentality is he's tapping into that Marine mentality, which is under no circumstances do I quit.
Right. And you don't want him to die.
Let's go. That's his, that's where he is.
Yeah.
So I have to let him kind of play in that zone, but I have to be like, all right, come on back down to earth here.
Yeah.
But and he hired me, which was really crazy how he hired me. So I go over to the Huntsville gym, the other gym that I train at, on a Saturday night, and I'm just doing my conditioning work, watching. He's just like, okay, all right. He comes over and asks me a couple questions. Hey, what you doing there? I tell him. He goes, all right. So are you a trainer here? And I said, yeah. He's like, you in here on a Saturday night? You're a young guy. What are you doing in here on a Saturday night? And I said, I'm not as young as you think.
Yeah.
And, so we talked a little bit. And he was like, all right, any guy who is disciplined enough to come in on a Saturday night and take care of himself, that's the type of guy I want to hire.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute. That didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It just, because I'm kind of huffing and puffing, so my brain ain't got a lot of oxygen in it.
Right.
I was like, I had to think about it for a second. And so when I got in my car and I was driving back home, I was like, oh, the key word was discipline to take care of yourself. That's what, because he's disciplined to take care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he locked in and said, this is a guy who, is disciplined enough to not go out on a Saturday night, get drunk,
right,
go out and do something stupid. So he's definitely going to be focused on, trying to help me. He's going to be disciplined enough to, if he's got to stay in on a Friday night or Saturday morning, whatever it is, whatever day he's off, how it works, to work on my programming, he'll be disciplined enough to do it. So just to take away, guys, whoever's listening, you never know who's watching you. And sometimes they're not necessarily looking for, the best built thing or whatever. Sometimes they're just looking for you to have. That was something that he said. I was like, oh, okay. So I pay attention.
Yeah.
Gotta have a little bit more of that. Huh? So you can take that. You can spin off on that.
Yeah.
Different ways.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that we could jump into right now to kind of wrap up this show and before we do the next show. But as we draw this show to an end, what's something that we didn't hit on as far as working with you, training with you, if somebody wants to get in touch with you? Because obviously we want to grow your business. We want to help you grow. Right. So what are some things about you that you got going on right now people can tune into, or training? That's
Okay, I told you I was going to tell you this.
Yeah.
I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag a little bit.
All right.
In the next couple months, September is like a while away, but it's not because time travel.
Yeah.
So I got an opportunity to be involved with the minor league soccer team.
Okay. Okay.
Right? They've got a development program that they're going to be working on with kids, and I was tapped for that. One of my clients, thank you. You know who you are if you see this podcast. Thank you. Tapped me for that and put my name out there. So in September, when this starts, it'll be a year-long situation, and I'm going to be possibly involved with working with them. Hopefully that doesn't fall through.
Yeah.
If it does, y'all will know. I'll tell you. I'll be honest
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
But as of right now, that's what we're still in talks on
Right,
this and
right,
whatnot, but
right.
it's really pointing in that direction. So I think that'll be a great thing from a community standpoint. And if you're out there and you currently have kids who need a little extra help with the athletics and things of that nature, they're on the second string or the third string and they need that, then you can go to my website. I've got a onboarding program. They just need to fill out their health stuff. So I know what that is. You can schedule their session, I renamed it, their evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
You can schedule that with me. I'm taking people. School's about to be out soon. So
Right.
they can lock that in, synergystrength.net. You can find me on Google.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got that, then sign them up. Because if the minor league soccer team wants to work with me, you're probably getting somebody who knows what they're talking.
Absolutely. And Charles, as always, right as we get to the end of the show, it's like, man, I should have said this. We could have covered that. So that'll be the next episode.
Yeah, like I said, we always kick it off from where we stop.
We'll just have to kick it to the next one. So, Charles, thank you for being here. Hey, bro.
No problem. Great having you on.
Guys, if you got any value from this show or you want to reach out to Charles, do so via his website. Share this show. And remember, here at Podcast on Wheels, we're focusing on faith, family, fitness, and finance. And we're here to help you grow. Thank you for watching Podcast on Wheels.